And a pleasant good afternoon to you from the KXAN Live Studios. I'm Billy Gates, and this is Instant Analysis, and presumably you just saw the same thing we did. Texas won the Big 12 Conference Championship in blowout fashion, 49-21 over Oklahoma State. And not only did it clinch a Big 12 title in their last season of being in the Big 12 Conference, it puts the Longhorns right in the middle of the college football playoff scenario. And here to talk about that, my man Jonathan Thomas. There he is right there. Jonathan, so yes, hello.
Yeah, it should be like an effect or something.
I know, like stars or sparkles.
Yeah.
Maybe throw like a rainbow in there. Anyway,
Yeah. Whatever.
Jonathan,
Whatever's clever.
this.
By the way.
Yeah, come on, man.
I thought I fixed it right before we went on. But there we go. That's better.
All right. So now that problem's fixed.
Let's get down to business.
Yes. 49-21. Quinn Ewers goes bonkers against Oklahoma State. 452 yards, 4 touchdowns on 35 of 46. I mean, let's start there. I mean, that was a career game for him when his team needed him the most.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of those things. It's like we saw all year with Quinn Ewers. He got the ball to the right guys, and they did their thing. He was able to find, and when he needed to make a big throw, he did that as well. He had a lot of really good throws down the field, but he also, as I started off with, he was able to find the right guys who were able to make the perfect play in that particular scenario. And setting a record for the Big 12 championship game in passing yards, tying a record with touchdowns with 4. And I mean, that was in the first half, by the way. I mean, that offense was so efficient. Their first 4 drives, Billy, they had 4 touchdowns, 13 first downs, averaged 12.2 yards per play. This is the first 4 drives. I mean, that's how much of a role that the Texas offense was on, and Quinn Ewers obviously spearheaded that.
Yeah, big day by the offense, also by the defense. We'll get the defense in a second. Offensively, 2 receivers go over 100 yards. Tavion Sanders, 8 catches, 105 yards with a touchdown. His third 100-yard game of the season. As a tight end, that is almost unheard of. That is an incredible season for Sanders, an incredible game. Adonai Mitchell, 6 catches, 109 yards and a touchdown. Xavier Worthy, 6 catches, 86 yards, but left the game in the fourth quarter with what appeared to be an ankle injury. He came out of the locker room in a boot cast type of deal, and he's on crutches. So we will see what the extent of that injury is later. They did say that X-rays revealed no structural, no bone damage, no breaks, fractures, or anything. So I guess that's a good sign. But I mean, an ankle sprain isn't good either. So we'll have to see where they land on that.
Especially for him. I mean, as explosive as he is, they need that speed. They need, a guy like him to be able to be at 100% or even really at 80%.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Total yardage for Texas, 662 yards to Oklahoma State's 281. Texas was 10 of 16 on third downs. That'll pump up the old average pretty good. 33 first downs to Oklahoma State's 13. It was just a masterclass of offense for the Longhorns. But let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Oklahoma State running back Ollie Gordon is a tremendous player. I repeat, he is a tremendous player. He came into the game leading the nation in rushing yardage with 1,509, I believe, somewhere in the area of 1,500. Texas made him look pedestrian. 34 yards on 13 carries. Texas has been doing that all season long, with the 4th best run defense in the country, allowing 85 yards a game. But Jonathan, how did they keep this All-American, deserving running back in check?
Well, first of all, as it has all year, it starts with the defensive line. It starts with that unit is just so good. They're so good. And Sarkisian had talked that about the need to surround the ball. When Ollie Gordon has the ball, they've got to get a bunch of guys in the air. And when they know that they have the kind of athletes, they have the kind of talent that when they get a bunch of guys in that area, it's hard for anybody to get out of that. Even someone as impressive as Ollie Gordon. So that was what you saw a lot today. I think they're as a team, they averaged 1.8 yards on the ground. And that's because you got the defensive line surrounding them. Then, of course, you have their linebackers with that speed that they have and the strength. Jalen Ford, Anthony Hill Jr. led them in tackles today, 4 solo tackles, 6 total to lead the team. Michael Taft also shouted him. He was second on the team in tackles today with 5 tackles.
He's had a great second half of the season.
Yeah, and he was in on a couple, of great just charges over to Gordon once he got the ball. There was one play where, Taft was untouched. He was just on the money, right at him, had a great tackle. That's the thing. This defense is so good, and they're so efficient and so athletic that when they're like on their game, which is quite often, that's why they're 12-1. And they're on their game. You cannot really do anything, especially on the ground. I think they put a real emphasis on, all right, we're just going to shut down your run game, force you to pass, but now we're going to have, our pass rush, which is A1. You're going to have to deal with that as well. And God forbid we throw a blitz at you, then you're really going to have trouble. So that defensive line, I think it starts with them, and then the linebackers, they just neutralize teams, ground games, and you saw that on full display today.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. T'Vondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, they're the interior line, always causing havoc, always causing trouble. That's why T'Vondre Sweat was named the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, which for an interior D lineman, that's quite an accomplishment because they're not putting up the numbers tackles-wise to say a linebacker or like a really strong defensive back who's really good against the run. And also, I would be remiss to not include T'Vondre Sweat's 2-yard touchdown reception.
Of course.
They're down the goal line in their jumbo package.
The play of the day.
When he was wide open too, just kind of slid out into the end zone off like.
And Byron Murphy, on the other defensive lineman, was on the field as a fullback.
He lined up as fullback. Fullbacks are real people, okay? Listen.
I was calling him a fullback.
Okay.
I wasn't insulting the position. I was saying he was a fullback.
We were going to have some words.
Yeah, there's no discrimination.
Good. Okay. All right. I'm glad we avoided that. But yes, Murphy was lined up in the backfield, ran a little play action fake to the tailback. I believe it was Baxter. I think it was in there anyway. It was either him or Blue. I can't remember. But anyway, Sweat just kind of wandered into the end zone, uncovered on a little like delay sort of pattern. Ewers lobs it to him. Sweat catches it, and he immediately knew what to do.
Been preparing for that his whole life.
Pose.
Yeah.
He went to the Heisman pose.
I'm sure he's talked about that since spring ball. Like, if I get in the end zone, I'm hitting the Heisman. Like, no one's gonna stop me. And I love when guys like that. We saw when Byron Murphy caught a touchdown pass earlier this season. I love the joy that everyone has. Sweat goes back to the sideline, and the whole sideline's jumping up and down. Everybody's super pumped up. Steve Sarkisian had talked about, how trick plays like that, when you work on them and if they, look good to him, if they're executing at a efficient rate, then he has no problem throwing that in a game, and he gets so much satisfaction when it works out because he knows that just lifts everybody up.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see what that does to the team, because it's not that it demoralizes the other team, but it just gets the team that's successful so fired up. You never see big guys score touchdowns like that. So anytime we get a big guy scoring a touchdown, it's 2 thumbs up.
That touchdown made it 21-7 late in the first quarter. And you mentioned trick plays. Texas scored on a trick play their second touchdown of the game, 24-yard pass to Javion Sanders after a little bit of a reverse, and then it went to a flea flicker.
Yeah.
Back to Ewers, who and again, like he found people wide open all day long.
Yeah.
There was nobody near Sanders when he caught that. That was probably the easiest 24-yard touchdown Ewers has ever thrown, and maybe Sanders has ever caught.
Yeah. I'm sure Sanders was probably a little surprised, like, wow, there is absolutely no one around me right now.
Yeah, that was a nice little dip into the bag of tricks there early on to give them a 14-0 lead, and then from there it was just blowout city.
Yeah, you can tell by the way, I mean, you can tell, and I know sometimes when it hasn't worked out, people have been upset with Sarkisian, but you can just tell by the way he calls the game. I mean, he loves this stuff. Like, this is him. Like, and today he was definitely in his bag with the play calling. He had Oklahoma State on their heels the whole day, and this is what he wants. We've talked about it every time we do one of these things. I love to point this out, but it's so true. When you have the kind of athletes and the kind of size, all that stuff he's talked about from day one that he's envisioned, when you build that kind of a team, you can do stuff like that, and it's going to work out the majority of the time.
So, fourth Big 12 championship in program history, 49-21 over Oklahoma State. This has been something that Sarkisian and the team has talked about ever since fall camp, which is really summer.
Yeah.
They want to get technical.
Yeah.
They achieved their goal of being Big 12 champions. Now their fate rests in a group of athletic administrators who are in Grapevine, Texas, just about three and a half hours north of here. The College Football Playoff Committee, they make their announcements on who they think should play in the CFP semifinals. They make that announcement around 11 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. Texas did their part. They beat Oklahoma State with some style points. That was what they needed to do. Now they need some help because they came in ranked number 7 in the CFP rankings released last week. They got to get to 4 somehow. Oregon lost to Washington Friday night, so that eliminates Oregon from contention. Ohio State's not going to win the Big Ten championship because Michigan beat them, so I think, well, not only I think, but a lot of other, national pundits, they think Ohio State's out because they're not winning a conference title. Jonathan, everybody in Burnt Orange is now a Louisville Cardinals fan tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Look, Texas has had, you need a little bit of everything, right, in order to win a championship. You need skill, you need the size, the strength, all of that, but you also need some luck. And Texas may have a 4-leaf clover with this Florida State situation since they're going to be starting a freshman third-string quarterback in the ACC championship.
Yeah, not an ideal situation.
And it's unfortunate for the Seminoles that they're in this situation. I feel for Seminoles fans. We have a Seminole alumni, Blake Devine, who works with us.
I don't.
You don't feel for him. But it's we love you, Blake. No, it's one of those things, it's like this is lining up perfectly for Texas. They blew out Oklahoma State, so they left no doubt to the committee. It's not like this was a close game or an overtime game or a game where even Texas wins, but they didn't look very good. And this was a picturesque performance from Texas that was a blowout, winning the conference championship. So the way I see it, if Louisville upsets Florida State, I don't see how Texas is not in. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point where I felt like it was going to take a lot for Texas to get in, but with this Florida State quarterback injury situation, now Florida State, they're still Florida State and they still can win. I mean, I'm not, sentencing them to death here, but it makes their job so much harder. There's a lot of pressure on that team. And so if Louisville takes care of business and things go the way you kind of would expect, conference championship game, freshman, third-string quarterback, you would expect the other team, the team on the other side, and Louisville's good, too. It's not like, Louisville's ranked 11, so it's not like, Louisville is, barely got there.
They're not some scrub in the ACC. They're a good football team.
They're a good team. So I mean, you know, if when you look at it, it looks like the stars are aligning for Texas. We still have to see how things shake out, but I don't see Ohio State jumping over them. You know, Washington took care of Oregon, last night. So, I mean, I don't see how Texas doesn't get in if Florida State loses.
Right. And Florida State's there, undefeated at 4, but like we've been saying, they've got Louisville in the ACC title game tonight. They're in the late window, so we're not going to know until 10:30, 11 p.m. who wins that one. So it's just kind of just like an excruciating waiting game for Longhorns fans. But go out and grab your Louisville Red because that's who Texas fans need to beat Florida State. Give them a loss and you know show the committee that they're not the same team without starting quarterback Jordan Travis, who broke his leg, and it ended his college career, unfortunately. I mean, because he was having a tremendous season for the Seminoles and leading them to an undefeated record at this point. But you know, in the end, the best 4 teams got to play. So.
Yeah, and they're not, and they wouldn't be a conference champion, which Texas is.
Right.
I think there's something to be said for winning your conference and proving that you're the best team in your conference. So if Florida State loses, then they would prove that they are not the best team in their conference. So I don't see any scenario which Texas does not get in if Louisville wins.
Yep, a lot of unknowns still, and who knows, Alabama could knock off Georgia too, and that could throw a monkey wrench into this whole thing. So we don't know until we know around 11 a.m. Sunday when the committee announces their selections. And that's when everybody else outside of that room up in Grapevine is going to know.
Right.
So just have to sit back, enjoy some more football, and then kind of see where the chips fall. If they don't get in the CFP, probably a Cotton Bowl bid, potentially against Missouri, has been the talk. They've had a great season in the SEC. So who knows? But we just have to wait.
Yeah, we
gotta wait.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when it's appropriate. But I think though, you know, I mean, if you're Texas, you did everything you could.
Yes.
You cannot ask for a better season. Obviously, you know, they would like to go undefeated. Who wouldn't? But 12-1, winning a conference championship, dominating the conference championship game. I mean, you can't ask for any more than that. I mean, this performance today was just a culmination of some performances that they've put together over the last couple of weeks, you know. And that's why I said this season has been interesting. You've had a little bit of everything. You've had, you know, blowout wins to start. You had tough wins where Texas avoided disaster multiple times to teams that you would say are pretty inferior to them, but they still got it done. And then you end with a blowout win to close out the regular season with Texas Tech last week, and a blowout win to take the conference championship today. So they've done everything. It's been truly a banner year for Texas, whether they get into CFP or not. You know, they have nothing. No one has anything to regret after this year. They really don't. You beat Alabama on the road. I mean, you've done pretty much everything you possibly can in your control.
Except beat Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl.
Except that.
Shootout.
Anyway, yes, I know.
Anyway.
I know. I understand. I figure I would let the folks in the comment section say, yeah, we didn't beat OU. I figure I'd let them say that, not me.
I figured. Well, just said it. So, to recap, Texas hammers Oklahoma State 49-21. Tremendous day both offensively and defensively for the Longhorns. They win their 4th Big 12 championship program history. Steve Sarkisian's first Big 12 championship in his 3rd year here on the 40 acres.
And his only.
So just have to wait until Saturday's games get over to see where the CFP scenario is going to be. So until then, I'm sure we'll talk to you either tomorrow or Monday about the situation. But until then, for Jonathan Thomas, I'm Billy Gates. Thank you so much for watching, and we will talk to you again very soon.